Jay, can't you just search this up on Google? Yes! Yes, you can. I did that before I started recording. And I usually don't do questions that I already know the answers to, so what makes this different? So, to go through the basic definitions of what they are: repetition, the same stuff repeating; consistency, the same stuff repeating, but it has more variance. Does that make sense? I have no idea how to dumb it down. I guess it's like, to be consistent, you can be repetitive, but you don't have to be. Okay, so what's the point of that? YouTube content. And content in general, including mine. Hey ho, I'm in a tub, and now it's time for Jay's shower thoughts. There's like a bazillion of content on YouTube, Instagram, and every other social media to ever exist, to the point that making up original content, is pretty rare. Okay, not really pretty rare, but really, really rare. Unless you search up the algorithm and search up the patterns of people's uploads and then upload something that's out of the pattern. But to create content that you're both satisfied with and bound to get that bag while also being mentally ill? What? Hey, if I didn't include that last bit, it would have actually been fine. But when that's in the picture, it's difficult to get your brain racking for ideas, alright? See, I do wonder how other creators still manage to do these without feeling like it's the same thing over and over, to the point you can't really tell if you're just being consistent or just posting the same stuff over and over. It worked for the audience, but sooner or later they'd realize it's just the same thing. And then the creator too will realize it. How do I think about it? Repetition is consistency's enemy. But aren't they technically the same? Yes, but that's also precisely why that's its enemy. Because they're the same. I always believe that you are your own worst enemy. Because think about it, if you get verbally bullied by someone, you yourself are letting their words get to you. And you end up using those words to define who they believe you are. And of course it's difficult to not let them completely get to you. It happens every now and then, and that's okay. But I digress. I actually find that kind of interesting to think about. Being repetition, being consistency's enemy. This whole deal is about the patterns of content online, but it honestly can be the same for the real world too. Because people are so obsessed with finding something meaningful to do in their life, or trying to find their purpose, or basically finding things to not make their lives so miserable and mundane and boring. There's also a good amount who are just used to the mundane, but really the obvious answer as to why we're all so desperate in finding an answer for ourselves is because of good jolly old societal expectations and standards. Because there's the cycle of start life, go school, work, retire, and die. And it repeats for the majority of the population. And there are also those that are unfortunate to not be able to experience this kind of life. I get the feeling that people might say that, yeah, this sucks ass. Why would they want this boring life? And honestly, I can't really say that I blame them for thinking that way, but it is insensitive. For their situation, anything would be better than their current state of living, even if it's living quote-unquote mundane life. Because at the very least, they get to start anew. It's the same thing for content online, too. That cycle's the same. See, the thing about content online is, like I said, difficult to create originals of those, unless you vigorously search up the algorithm for what's already been made. So, the things that I've observed is that there's people who get famous because they're problematic. And there's also people who get kind of famous because they call out and make fun of those problematic people. And every time that happens, every time there's a sudden person, a sudden creator who blows up because they're being problematic or just being questionable in general, so many people just eat it up like a buffet. It's so repetitive, but it never gets old. Is it because of mob mentality? Is it because the possibility that so many people are just so bored and are just looking to stir something up in hopes of spicing up their life? Is it because the problematic people in question are just that desperate to get attention? Regardless of the answer, this problematic cycle becomes repetitive. And these people still get the views because of how much focus and priority people on the internet these days put into canceling problematic people, calling out problematic people, and debating whether or not the content is satire to get views. Or maybe they just want to take advantage of that or something, I don't know. And I know you guys know who I'm talking about. They're a big deal on TikTok right now. Jesus. I'll be honest, I don't know why people think like that when setting out to be content creators. What's even worse is that this kind of stuff happens on TikTok quite often, or at the very least, from what I've seen. I mean, it's not that much of a surprise anyway, because TikTok is one of the social media platforms that lets you get views so much easier, because literally the only way to get views is for your video to pop up on the For You page. And there's literally nothing else. It's just the For You page. It's the main source. But are they satisfied with being a bad example? I mean, it doesn't have to be like for the audience or anything. I'm talking about the intentions of making stuff like this for themselves. What kind of intentions do they have for themselves when doing this? I mean, unless it's that kind of case where it's like, as long as I get money, I don't care what I'm doing kind of thing. But isn't that all? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's almost everyone that's working. Some can have different extents to that sentence. Adding on to the doing this because people will eat up anything that has problematic material thing, they probably just had no other content to do. I mean, it's easy. Being annoying is easy. Why should you think of anything else to do online to gift to people, right? If anything, any of us could be like those people had we not retained our morals and ethics and whatever. Or if we really just weren't afraid of getting death threats, being doxxed, and just being a good amount of... just getting a good amount of hate because you were also a shit person. And so... I guess that concludes it. It's definitely short because this, like I said, this question, you can just Google it. And then you can just find a definition from there. I just wanted to delve into this a bit deeper because I was quite curious to know about how content creators cope with having to deal with having to post the same kind of content over and over, and having it to be consistent instead of repetitive. Like I said, they're pretty much the same, but there's a difference, which I already have said earlier. I'm making so many references to the start of this thing, and yeah, I really wonder how they feel about all this, because sure, the fruits of their labor might pay off and that the audience take their content really well, but just because the audience is happy with what they post doesn't mean that they themselves are always happy. And the problem is, you might never know if the audience will like what you post or not. Regardless of, how do I say this? They might not like anything that these creators newly post. Like, if they want to change to a newer form of content, then they might not even like that, and that's the problem. So from the way I see it, it's either they stay repetitive or they risk it and change. But I mean, for me, I just say to just change it, and yeah, that's also the problem, because as long as you get money, as long as you still get money, you'll still be doing it even though you're unsatisfied with the content that you put out. I don't really know if that makes sense anymore, but yeah, I did say that I was gonna conclude this, but you know, I mean, no, I did conclude this, just to summarize everything that I've talked about in this episode. Oh, now that finally ends off this episode. Again, I apologize for it being super short, but it's okay. There's gonna be longer episodes for the next weeks, and I'm also very sorry for not uploading last week. I honestly legitimately forgot, and I did lose my momentum like the week before, I guess, like the week I went on my quote-unquote camp. Okay, it is a camp, it's just a day camp, but yeah, that's besides the point. Okay, anyway, I'll see you all in the next episode, and in whatever content that you guys might see in the future. Just at this point, I cannot make any promises. Just wait in anticipation, okay? Adieu. And why? I don't know why I thought that was like a good idea to say that. Just no. Why would you say you sussy? I mean, it's better than sussy baka, but still. No!